In the heart of the Lake District, where rolling hills draped in autumn gold met the endless gray sky, stood Eldridge Manor, a grand yet weathered estate that had stood for centuries. The year was 1892, and the air carried the crisp scent of falling leaves and impending rain. Eleanor Harlow, a spirited painter from London, had arrived at the nearby village of Ambleside seeking solitude. At 25, she had fled the stifling expectations of society, marriage proposals from dull suitors and the pressure to abandon her art for domesticity. With her easel, paints, and a small inheritance from her late aunt, she rented a modest cottage overlooking Lake Windermere. Her days were spent capturing the wild beauty of the fells, her brushstrokes bold and free. One foggy morning, as Eleanor wandered the paths near Eldridge Manor in search of inspiration, a sudden downpour forced her to seek shelter under an ancient oak. Soaked through, she huddled there, her sketchbook clutched tightly. That's when he appeared, Lord Alexander Blackwood, the manor's enigmatic owner, riding a black stallion through the mist. Alexander was 32, tall and brooding, with dark hair tousled by the wind and eyes the color of storm clouds. Widowed 5 years prior, he had retreated from society after his wife's tragic death in a carriage accident. Rumors swirled in the village, some said he was cursed, others that he guarded dark secrets within the manor's walls. He rarely ventured out, preferring the company of books and the vast library his ancestors had amassed. Spotting the drenched young woman, Alexander dismounted. "Miss, you ought not to be out in this weather," he said, his voice deep and laced with concern. He removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders without waiting for permission. Eleanor looked up, startled by his sudden presence. Thank you, sir. The rain caught me unawares." He offered a faint smile, the first in years, though he didn't realize it. "The manor is nearby. Come, warm yourself by the fire before you catch your death." Hesitant but shivering, Eleanor accepted. As they walked the short distance, Alexander leading his horse, she stole glances at him. There was a quiet intensity about him, like the calm before a tempest. Inside Eldridge Manor, the grandeur overwhelmed her. High ceilings, tapestries depicting ancient hunts, and a roaring fire in the drawing room. A stern housekeeper brought tea and dry clothes from the guest quarters. Alexander excused himself to change, leaving Eleanor to marvel at the paintings lining the walls, masterpieces by Turner and Constable. When he returned, dressed in a simple waistcoat, he found her studying a portrait of a beautiful woman. "My late wife, Victoria," he said softly, a shadow crossing his face. "I'm sorry," Eleanor whispered. "She was lovely." He nodded, pouring tea. "It was long ago. What brings a lady like yourself to these remote parts?" "I paint," she replied, her eyes lighting up. "The light here, the mist, it's unlike anything in London." Alexander's interest piqued. Few women pursued art so passionately. Over tea, they spoke of landscapes and literature. He confessed his love for Wordsworth's poetry, reciting lines from "Daffodils" as rain pattered against the windows. Eleanor shared her dreams of exhibiting her work, undaunted by societal norms. As the storm cleared, Alexander insisted on escorting her home. The paths are treacherous in the wet. From that day, their encounters became frequent. Eleanor would paint near the manor grounds, and Alexander would happen upon her. He invited her to sketch in the gardens, where roses bloomed defiantly against the chill. They walked the lakeshore, discussing everything from philosophy to the stars. One evening, under a canopy of golden leaves, Alexander opened up. "After Victoria's death, I blamed myself. The accident happened on a road I insisted we take. I shut myself away, convinced I brought misfortune to those I love." Eleanor's heart ached. She placed a hand on his arm. "Grief is a heavy burden, but it doesn't define you. You've been kind to me, a stranger." He looked at her then, truly seeing the warmth in her hazel eyes, the way her auburn hair caught the fading light. "You've brought light back into this place, Eleanor." Their feelings deepened swiftly, like the river swelling with rain. Stolen glances turned to lingering touches, a brush of fingers when passing a book, his hand steadying her on uneven ground. One afternoon in the manor's conservatory, surrounded by exotic plants his grandfather had collected, Alexander pulled her close. "Eleanor," he murmured, "I never thought to feel this again." She tilted her face up, and their lips met in a kiss soft as mist, yet charged with years of unspoken longing. It was tender, exploratory, igniting a fire that warmed them both. But love in the English countryside was never without complications. Village gossip reached Eleanor's ears. Whispers that Alexander's wife had not died accidentally, that jealousy or madness plagued him. Worse, a letter arrived from London, her father demanding she return for an arranged engagement to a wealthy merchant. Torn, Eleanor confronted Alexander during a walk in the pouring rain. Is it true? About Victoria. He stopped, rain streaming down his face. No. It was an accident, pure and tragic. But I've carried the guilt like chains. In this engagement, my family pressures me to secure my future. Alexander's expression darkened. Do you wish to leave? No, she cried, tears mingling with rain. But society, expectations. He cupped her face. Then stay. Marry me, Eleanor. Let us defy them together. In that moment, under the relentless downpour, she nodded. They embraced fiercely, the world fading to just the two of them. Yet obstacles remained. Eleanor's father arrived unannounced, furious at her refusal. He's a recluse, tainted by scandal. You'll ruin yourself. Alexander stood firm. I love your daughter, sir. She brings joy to a home long shadowed. Impressed by his sincerity, and perhaps the manor's prestige, the father relented, though grudgingly. The wedding was intimate, held in the manor's chapel on a crisp autumn day. Eleanor wore a gown of ivory lace, Alexander a tailored suit. Vows exchanged amid flickering candles promised eternal devotion. Years passed. Eldridge Manor flourished under Eleanor's touch, gardens revived, her paintings adorning walls. They had 2 children, a boy with Alexander's dark hair and a girl with Eleanor's artistic spirit. On quiet evenings, they would sit by the fire, Alexander reading poetry while Eleanor sketched. The mist still rolled in from the lakes, but now it carried whispers of enduring love. In the English countryside, where rains nourished the earth and secrets dissolved like fog in sunlight, Eleanor and Alexander found their forever, a romance as timeless as the hills themselves.